Hi, thanks for gardening with me. I'm Melissa, and today I'm going to be taking you for a tour of my late July garden. I'll show you some of the projects that we've got in the works, some really exciting things that are coming up, so stay tuned. So we'll start this garden tour off right here in this little corner, which is my husband's pride and joy. The elephant ears here, this is their second year, and I'm 5'8.5", and they're every bit as tall as I am. So they're really loving it here. At the end of the season, what I'll do is dig them up, knock as much of the dirt off as I can, let them sit out for a couple days and dry out a little bit. And then I just put them in a cardboard box and put them in the basement, bring them out the next year, and they're good to go. But there's also a couple banana trees in here. There's that one and that one back there. And then we have another one here. I won't bother showing you the row of daylilies down there because they've already done their thing. They were beautiful when they were in bloom. It's got a really pretty double flower on it, but they have had their time, so it's time to cut them back. I almost didn't show this garden tour today because I do have a lot of stuff that needs to be done, a lot of things that need attention, but I went on vacation, came back, wasn't feeling so great, so I'm a little behind on things, but I wanted to go ahead and show you because that's real life. You know, you can't always have everything looking in pristine condition when you've got a lot of other things going on too. Here we have a sedum autumn joy back here, which is huge, but it's getting pretty covered up by this banana tree, or the banana tree there, and then the elephant ears here. So I think it'll still get enough sunlight to where it'll bloom. Again, we have these daylilies that just poke up above the pool, so from the other side it looks really good when they're in bloom. But I do have a few scapes here that are getting ready to come out, but I do need to get in there and clean that up. The black-eyed Susans have traveled all the way from over there to back there, and I don't want that, so I'm gonna have to get back there and pick those. But the knockout roses are always faithful. They always come through for you. They look great. This nice tall grass, that is always nice because, again, it's something that pokes up above the pool. And then I have the lavender that's down there that's probably not getting quite enough sun, and it gets a little bit too much moisture there. They have already flowered. Those two look better than this one, and I think it's because this one just gets too much water. So I'm probably going to go ahead and move those back to the back of the property. But then coming over to this side of the yard, mostly everything is looking pretty good over here. We have the black-eyed Susans that are also trying to come through on this side, so I'm going to have to dig those up. These are all black-eyed Susan babies, so they really are heavy spreaders, and I don't want them over here. So I'll have to dig those all up and move them. I'll put those in the back of the property because we're just building that up back there, so it definitely has space for a lot more plants. My echinacea there, purple coneflower. I do have some dahlias back in here that are going to be beautiful whenever they decide to bloom. This has been a strange year. We had a really cold, wet spring that lasted a long time, and then it went right to 90 degrees and full hot. So I do have some annuals here that are just kind of sitting there. They're not doing a whole lot. Hopefully soon they'll bounce back and start to put on some size. But look at these babies. I mean, they're just gorgeous. They're huge. They're the size of my head, and they're starting to blush out to that pink color. They go from pure white to a pink and then to a green in the fall. So they're just beautiful. I have my David Austin roses here that are lovely. And that's putting on some size. So I think by next year, the stems will be a lot more sturdy and the flowers will stand up a lot more. But they just have beautiful little leaves to them. This is a dahlia that didn't quite open right for some reason. It's probably getting shaded quite a bit by that hydrangea. But look at this dahlia. I mean, it is gorgeous. It's full all the way around, just like a ball. But man, that's gorgeous. And I have a couple more buds getting ready to pop. But like I said, the dahlias haven't done much yet this year. The phlox, that was in full bloom. I cut it back, and now it's getting ready to flush again. And then look at that mushroom. I don't know why they grow like that, but I also have some seed dahlias in here that are beautiful. And from what I understand, at the end of the season, I should be able to dig those up, and they should have tubers. And then you can save them for the following year. We will see. Let's see. These are lupins. I planted them there. I planted quite a few of them, and they were small, so I put the flower stakes there, and then something ate all the rest of them. So I took all the flower stakes that I had and built like a teepee over top of that one, hoping that whatever ate the rest of them wouldn't eat that. So we will see. This looked so good in the spring. These iris, it's the Siberian iris. They looked so good. And I also have a daylily in there, but this time of year it just does not look very good. So I need to figure something else out for there. They probably just need to be divided because they flop a lot from July on. So I need to change that up a bit. Have more of the echinacea here. Another elephant ear. This one was just a baby when I put it in the ground, so it's got a little more size to put on. Here we have coral bells, which I have some coral bells that are back inside there. I'll show you. That are such a pretty color, and I don't know why I put them back in here because you can't even see them, but they look like they've been splattered with paint, with pink paint. So I have that one, and then I have another one over there, and they're just getting buried, so I need to take those and move those to the front of the garden. But look at this David Austin rose. Isn't that just beautiful? Love it, and it smells so good. I still do not have my smell from when I had COVID a year ago, but for some reason I can smell those, and I'm so grateful for it. This hydrangea is so pretty when it first comes out, but for some reason it's just turning to this brownish green pretty soon. So I don't know if it's getting too much sun, not enough sun, so I need to figure that out because I have 1, 2, 3 of those, and they still look good even though they're kind of brownish green, but I wanted them to stay pink for longer. So if anyone has any advice on that, I'll take it. Back in here, so this spring, this is where the water kind of settles right in here, and so that whole path back there stayed super wet. So it almost took out my Veronica here, but it's trying to make a comeback. The little begonias did well. This is going to be a beautiful dahlia, and then I have another one back there whenever they decide to show up. I also have some really pretty foxgloves back in here that just keep flowering. So I'm letting them go to seed. I would love for this whole area to be foxgloves. Here again we had, this was the iris, and they were beautiful when they were in bloom, and then I had a gorgeous daylily in there too, and I'll put a picture up on the screen of what that looked like when it was in bloom. It was super pretty. So we come around here. This is another type of the elephant ear. That's really pretty. I like that. We have some euonymus back there in the back that I put it back there because euonymus usually spreads a lot. So I want it to just spread and come up the side of the pool, which it's starting to. See it back there. It doesn't really cling to anything, but it just will kind of nestle against it. So I'm looking forward to that happening. It's probably not getting quite as much sun as it needs because we have this huge shade tree over. So in the fall, we're having someone come and just kind of cut the lower branches down on that a little bit, just to let a little more sunshine in. At this point, it's shading my grass here, which this is I think my best grass that I have on the property. So it's not getting quite the sun that it needs right now. As you can see, there's the branches from the tree are just really really sticking out there. So I'll get that handled. This is a lilac that blooms in the spring. I have a bloomering lilac back here that's from Proven Winners that should give me another flush of lilacs pretty soon. But it's struggling a little bit this year, so hopefully it comes back and gives me some bloom. Here we have some more echinacea, and then these begonias. I have these in a couple different places in the yard. I just love them this year. They just did so well, and they're so pretty. Love them. And then we have the buddleia, the butterfly bush up here, which gets beautiful long flowers on them that the butterflies love, the hummingbirds love. I need to come in and cut back the spent blooms, but there's all kinds of fresh buds right behind it. So that'll keep blooming probably for a whole nother month. Back in here, I have a daylily down there that's called Gil that a friend of mine, Leatrice, gave me in honor of her father. It was a daylily that they bred for him to celebrate. So that's wonderful. I just put that in. It's a beautiful daylily. Doesn't look like much now, but next year it should be really beautiful. And then back here I have yarrow, and it's kind of flopped over right now, which I'm not super thrilled about. I'll probably move that. I had a bunch more yarrow right here, pinks and yellows, and I moved them to the back because I just don't like this look for this area. So probably do the same thing, move that one to the back. I think this would be a really great place for another hydrangea, and a hydrangea should do really well right there. Here we had daylilies that, boy, they did their thing. They were just beautiful. Not daylilies, Asiatic lilies is what they were. They were pink and gorgeous. Have coneflowers down there, which that's cute with the yarrow poking through the elephant ear there. Here we have some more of that sedum autumn joy, which is getting ready to flower. I like the structure of that because it's nice and compact and clean. Then we go up to the arborvitae there, and then up to the deck, which I'll take you up there in a moment. This is wild geranium that when it's in bloom, it's gorgeous, but it blooms really hard in the spring, and it's full and gorgeous. And then some years I get a second bloom out of it. This year I did not, so not sure why. Here again we have the carpet roses, which they just look beautiful all year long. And as much roses that are on there now, I mean, look at the buds. It's just loaded. So it's just the gift that keeps on giving, and this always looks beautiful. I have 5 of those in there that I got for Mother's Day 4 or 5 years ago, but they look consistently good. I put the this ground cover in here because I wanted to hold in the the mulch because it's on a pretty big slant, so I didn't want the mulch falling out, and it's done a great job. But I do have some that I put in there that I like better than others. Like, I love that. And then I also have a bunch of columbine in here that's beautiful in the spring. But I also love this one. So as some of them fill in a little more, then I'll pull back the other ground cover and put that in the back where I'm trying to build that up. But here we have that wild geranium that it's trying to do its little second flush of flowers. So you can imagine just covered over the whole thing like a carpet in the spring. It's really beautiful. Up here we have some more of those Siberian irises that did their thing. At least those aren't flopped over. So I don't mind that one so much there. But I had a daylily that had a beautiful bloom on it. More of the echinacea here, which I love echinacea, or purple coneflower. There's a bunch of different coneflowers out that I really want to get. And they give you a lot more color and interest this time of year. So I want to have a lot more of those in the yard. I don't think they would do well on the inside of this border here, but on the outside and then up here where it gets a little more sun, I think it would do great. This is lamb's ear, which I love lamb's ear, but I don't love the messiness of it. Now my daughter Jessica gave me this lamb's ear, which I can't remember the name of it, but it's a more wide leaf. So as soon as that, and they grow and separate really, really well. So as soon as that comes in on its own, I'll probably start dividing that and replacing it over here, replacing this one, and then move this one probably to the back. Because see, it just doesn't look so tidy. And I don't mind having things that are a little more sprawled out and loose, but up here, I just want it to be a little more tidy than it is. More of those wax begonias, and look at how beautiful that looks in front of my gnome there. I love him. I got him in Amish country, and he has a trowel in one hand and flowers in the other. So cute. This is a city lime Paris hydrangea. The first year I put it in, it had flowers, and I haven't had it flower since. So this is its third year. So I'm hoping by next year it flowers, but it's supposed to stay nice and compact like that. I don't know why it hasn't flowered, but they say sometimes they take a couple years to get a hold in, and so I'm just going to give it that time. More of the Sedum Autumn Joy here, iris, and then we go into the vegetable garden, which I'll just give you a quick overview of the vegetable garden. We went on vacation and I came back and I had this spot all over these cucumbers. So I took all the leaves off. They're starting to grow back, but that's looking pretty But up here, it doesn't look so bad. So I'm just gonna leave it and see what happens. It's not hurting anything by being here. It has put on a lot of new flowers, which means a lot more new cucumbers, which I have a few coming up in there. If you can see them. Here I have my onion that, so this kale, when it starts off in the spring, it's very small. These are volunteers from last year. Like, they didn't completely go away during the winter, so I just kind of left them. Next year I'm not going to do that because they get so big and they really crowded these guys out. There was another one that was here that I just picked up. So I don't know if these onions will take off now that that's gone and be okay, but they're not looking so great. And then I have chipmunks that just run in here and just knock over my onions all the time. Potatoes, all my herbs back there. This is fennel, which seeds itself and comes back. This is potatoes, which they're supposed to do this when they start dying off like that. That's when you know that the potatoes are ready to harvest. And I have quite a few potatoes in through there. Here we have peppers, which are doing really good. These are my beans, and I probably have some in here that are ready to harvest. Not too many, because we pick these all the time. These are Italian green beans, and they're so good. And I saved some seeds from them last year and resowed them again this year. Delicious. Here we have the bell peppers back in there. You can see that those are doing really good. More of the sweet peppers there, and then have a nice big bell pepper down there, and then more of the sweet peppers there, which my friend Donna just canned some, so I need to get on that train and can some of mine too. And this is the only spicy pepper that I have in here this year. I also have a little rogue couple cannas that are trying to come through. As you can see here. Sometimes in the winter, like my friend Dana gave me a bunch of hosta last year, and I didn't get an opportunity to plant them because we were dealing with the whole COVID thing. So I just put them in here and overwintered them in here. And there was a couple cannas in there, and then I took them out and planted them throughout the yard. Strawberries are not doing so great this year. Don't know why, but I'm sure they'll bounce back and be wonderful next year. I did get some of the Proven Winner's Buried Treasure and put in here. Not super thrilled with those yet. I don't know. I mean, there's rust or something that is all over those. They're flushing back, so next year they'll be fine. But I'm just chalking things up to this weather this year. I don't know. But this is where all the rest of the kale is. And as you can see, it's flourishing. It has plenty of space to do its thing here and not take over anything else. I have zucchini there that I put in late. So hopefully the zucchini borers do not find them this year. Hopefully they're all gone by now. We'll see. I don't know. This little guy is just filled to the brim with tomatoes, and I can pick a bunch of those today. Oh look, I got a flower. So I should have some zucchini pretty soon. Those haven't been in the ground that long. There we just have a bunch of rogue cherry tomatoes that are kind of doing their thing back there. I think this is Mr. Strapey. That's doing really good, taller than me. We have another tomato over here, which definitely ready to pick some of those today. More cucumbers back there and beans that are kind of not getting much sun because of the asparagus. So this is what the asparagus does after it's done giving you the food that you eat. Then it plumes up into these beautiful fern-like plants, and that's what feeds the roots for the following year. And then these are little seeds, so you could definitely take those off and throw them in there. And I mean, I get sometimes little plants, see, that just pop up out here in the mulch. So over here we have blueberries, which are yummy. I have 4 blueberry plants back here, but only one of them gave me fruit this year, and I'm sure, have no doubt, that it's because I have these 2 daylilies here. So I have decided that it is going to be a blueberry patch and not a daylily patch, so I need to move those daylilies someplace else. They're beautiful. But I really want blueberries to be the star of the show right here, so I'll have to move those. And then this is toad lily that pretty soon should be giving me a bunch of flowers. They look like orchids when they bloom. They're gorgeous. And then I have this beautiful dahlia back kind of nestled in there. Here we have more of the cucumbers, and see, they've got this blight, so I'm not thrilled about that. Another nice big cucumber. And then I think that I saw another one. Yeah. So even though it's got the blight, it's still giving me cucumbers, which is really a great thing there. I also have a zucchini that I just planted in here, so that'll take over when those cucumbers are done. More of the beans, and then this is a spot where I had broccoli that when I harvested, I put some more bean seeds in there. Carrots, which we've been picking, but they're doing really good. This is a potato that's ready to be harvested. That's what they do. They die back when they're done. So I'll harvest those. I have beets back in there, which are definitely ready to come out of the ground. I planted all those beets for my husband because he was using them in his protein drinks, but he hasn't been harvesting them that much. We have some zinnias in here that I threw some seed. Well, I threw the plants in here last year when I harvested them. Well, not harvest them, but when I pulled them up at the end of the season and just threw them here, and some of the seeds took. So I left them. They make a really beautiful flower. I cut one of them off here. You can see it was a really pretty flower. Still have a little bit of lettuce in there and some celery. And then those are all beans. I put more bean seeds back there because there's still time. More beans. We love beans. More onion too. That, again, I think they're getting trampled by the chipmunks. Basil here, some rosemary that's getting kind of overshadowed, and then here we have cherry tomatoes that are growing up and over the arch. So so it's almost gone completely over the arch. I did have to cut away a bunch of the lower leaves. The week that I was gone, they just got something. I don't know what it was. So, but I mean, it's still giving me lots of nice tomatoes, so you can't complain too much. But we've been harvesting. This was full of tomatoes before, and we've been harvesting them as we go. But lots of nice little groups of the cherry tomatoes, and these leaves look nice and healthy. So that's it for up here. Now we'll go back here and I'll show you the work that we did for the potting shed since you've seen it last. So my husband put in all these railroad ties. We both brought back all of this gravel. It still needs to be raked out and leveled a little bit more. Put these arborvitaes in. Hopefully they'll grow tall and give us a nice little privacy wall there. We do have the 2 Adirondack chairs there, and we want to bring in a little fire pit to put there just to keep for those little small fires. But this has really turned out cute. Love the plants in here. They definitely need watered, but they're doing really good. I'll take you in and show you the inside, which is not looking a whole lot different than it has. I haven't really done anything in here because it's just been so hot. Cute little trowels there. This is a beautiful mirror that I still want to put up here, and I want to put a little table right there. Still need to put the door on there. Sorry. Mirror up there. That's the door that's going to go to the greenhouse, which I'm going to start building the greenhouse this week. So I put it off until it got a little bit cooler. It was just way too hot. I could turn the light on. But there's the potting shed. looking really good. Not a whole lot of pots in here right now because they're all in use. I still do have all of these teeny little pots in here that I'll be using to start plants with in the winter. But love how this is turning out. Just exactly what I wanted it to be. And that's a view back up at the house. And then if we go back here, you can see, so the front and the sides are all painted. I have not painted the back yet because I have this big tarp that has all of my windows and things in there that I'm going to be using to build the greenhouse out of. So as soon as I take those all away, I'll be painting back here. And then the greenhouse is going to be a lean-to that's going to come out here about 10 feet. It's going to be just as wide as the potting shed, which is 20 feet. So I'm getting ready to get started. I'll bring you along for every step of the way on that. Here we have this big, huge limb came down. And my husband hurt his back, so he hasn't been able to cut it up with the chainsaw, so there it lays. This was a huge tree that we had taken down right here, and I'll show you kind of a before and after of what this area looked like with the tree here. But it had termites going through the center of it, so the center was almost hollow. So it was just a ticking time bomb of when that was going to come down, and it was probably the way it was leaning was going to come down on our wood shop. So we had to take it down. There was 2 old dead trees right here that one of them we had taken down. The other one my husband took down. That's what he hurt his back on. So it's still kind of laying here. But it was riddled with poison ivy. So you can't burn the poison ivy. So we have to get in here and mediate this and get this all cleaned up. I know it looks like a hot mess now, but it's progress. So I think it's super exciting. As you can see, I also have some elephant ears back here. This area, which I really, really love how it's coming along. 2 years ago, you couldn't walk back here. It was just completely full. It was like that. Completely full. You couldn't walk through there, but it had mostly poison ivy, Virginia creeper, wild grapes. So I'm just trying to come along and put things back in here. This is a pretty much, on your own kind of garden back here because I am bringing some water back in buckets now because we have these big trees. That this is really what I want for back here, is just for these trees to start taking over and giving us some privacy. And then the plants are kind of like a second thought back here. But it's coming along nicely. So anytime that I have plants up front that just aren't doing the thing that I want them to do, this is where they're going to come. This area we have not tackled yet. There's some groundhogs living underneath that mess there. So that's a Tony thing. So he's the one that's going to be working on that area. This was a big, huge tree that got struck by lightning and Tony took down this year. I mean, you can see how thick it was. So as soon as his back's better, he's going to be cutting that down. Then we'll clean this whole area up. Like I said, it does look like a hot mess, but boy, it looks so much better than it used to. So it really is progress. And it cracks me up because I've got a bunch of hosta back here that the bunnies are just eating like crazy. And then they take it to where it's like barely alive, and then they just leave them alone. And then they come back and they flush a whole bunch of new growth, and then they come back and eat them again. So I'm not super concerned about it, because if they're enjoying their little buffet back here, hopefully that'll just keep them away from my plants up by the house. And as long as things survive, that's all I really care about. This, I haven't put any mulch down here yet, obviously, but this is a beautiful smoke bush, which is doing great. And this will get to be 10 feet tall, so it will give a lot of privacy for this whole area right here. This tree has to come down because it is pulling up out of the ground. So that's going to have to come down. It'll either come down by us if we get to it in time, or come down on its own. So we definitely don't want that to happen. And then over here, we haven't really cleaned this up like we have the other side. I've got a few astilbes and things planted in there, but this is still pretty wild back in here and needs a lot of cleanup. But it's just a fun little path to go through. And then if you come out the other side, which I definitely need to come back in here and weed and clean up, then it takes you back to the back of the wood shop, where we've got a bunch of crap right now that I always said I hate when people stack stuff behind buildings. So that is not my favorite thing happening right now. Tony definitely needs to find someplace else to put that stuff. We have the big fire pit here that's going to need to be moved, and it'll need to be smaller than that probably, but we'll probably move it up here a little bit, which we use all the time. It needs to be cleaned out. The ashes, I'll probably take the ashes out and put them over on the compost bin. But here we have yarrow, cannas, black lace elderberry, black-eyed Susans. This is a very, very new bed, just coming along. These are gorgeous. This is that hydrangea that, I'll try swinging around slower, like that white one way up there, the huge one. It's the same thing, but that is what it has done this year. And it's just because it was just so dry and so hot, and it's full sun back here. Not really full sun, but more sun than up there. So I didn't get any flowers on it this year. Next year I will, I'm sure. Have this beautiful butterfly bush here. My sand cherry here that is coming with some new growth because the deer have just really gone after it. So I'm going to have to put something here to keep the deer out, because they get to all my daylilies before I do. Here I have more of that yarrow, echinacea, cannas, with the white echinacea that's super short this year. And they're just now coming out because, like I said, it was just so dry and so hot for such a long time. But I have a couple of them back in there. And this is that wild grape that's trying to come back, and it will take over everything. So I need to get in there and pull that. The weeds aren't super bad in here, but they're bad enough to where when I come in and weed, I just do little small sections at a time and get every single weed out. You're much better to do it that way than to try to get a little bit of weeds out of the whole thing, because then that area is not going to get weeds to grow back for quite a while. Like this is all weed that needs to come out. So definitely have my work that I need to do. But we had 3 huge trees laying down here, and I had to burn them all myself because Tony's back was hurt. So it was definitely a big chore. So that's it for back here, and I'll take you out front. Well, before we go out front, I wanted to show you my deck. I have a lot of cannas up here, geraniums, trees that I'm starting. I have a bunch of trees over here. This is my little nursery area. I'm trying to nurse things back to health. This one, geez, almost died. Tony doesn't think I'll be able to revive that one, but I'm going to give it my best effort. Everything else is, I mean, they're trying to make a comeback. So that's the little sick bay. And then up here we have some more of those beautiful seed dahlias that I just love. I think they're gorgeous. More of those lupins that I started from seed that they're just not putting on much growth right now, but hopefully they will. Our deck, look at this. Another thing to just add to the list. This is a hibiscus that my friend gave me. It wasn't doing so great in her yard, so she gave it to me, and it's doing pretty good here. So hopefully we'll have flowers soon. A Rose of Sharon tree that I will plant in the back. It's supposed to be kind of deer resistant, so hopefully that'll do well in the back. I got that on clearance for $13, so good deal there. That guy we put in the pool house every winter, and we're gonna have to cut it like in half to get it to even fit in there this year. Put on a ton of growth. Here we just have just some of my little plants that I'm growing up out here. This is my foxgloves that I'm growing from seed. I'm just gonna grow them up in there and then put them out into the yard. Little annuals in there, annuals in here. My little, I don't know what you call that, turtle maybe. This purple plant used to be called, and they changed the name for purposes that make sense, but it was called a wandering Jew. But it is beautiful. And I don't know the new name of it. Here I put a Cedamonum Joy that's getting ready to flower, and my nice big purple banana tree, which is doing really well. I also have some more of that purple plant here. And then this is the view going out to the backyard. And then I will put up a picture of what that looked like when the tree was still there. But as you can see the banana tree coming up there, the daylily, and the roses, and then the grass. So I like having things that can just poke up above the pool there. And now I will take you out. So this is the front porch, and my hydrangea that they're coming out this year. I keep saying I'm going to take them out, and then the next year they do really good, so I don't take them out. This year they really do need to come out. This has just been beautiful, this begonia in here this year. The back one is starting to show signs of wear, but the red ones still look really pretty. Then I have some more of that purple plant in there as well. Out here we have the Wicked Witch Coleus by Proven Winners, followed by some blue hosta. They look more blue in the spring than they do now because the heat takes the color away from them. So I have a nice little bumble in there. So I'm not hugely in love with the flowers, but the bees are, so I just leave them. Hellebore that needs cut back. It still has the flowers on it that it gets in like March, and it looks beautiful all season long until it starts to do this, and then you need to cut it back. But this bed is extremely full right now. The plan that I have had is the red barberries, which I have 3. I have one back there that you can barely see because it doesn't get a whole lot of sun. But I've just been kind of letting them go and letting them get a lot of growth on them. And then I want to cut them into spheres. So I'm going to do that really soon. And then the holly behind that, there's 3, but I'm going to cut it across the top into just one plant. Well, to where it'll look like just one hedge. The hydrangeas get gorgeous, beautiful hydrangeas on them, but it's just so hit and miss because they bloom on last year's wood, and the fact that we've had these really cold springs, it's just taking away all the blooms, all the buds. So definitely need to put something else there. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous daylily. Doesn't look like much now, but I'll put a picture on the screen of what they look like. I've got a couple branches down in here, but individually there's some beautiful things that are going on in there. Doesn't show up quite so well on the camera because there's, like I said, branches and things down in there, so I need to clean that up. But individually there's a lot of really beautiful plants in there. And then you come around to the side here and it's my hosta garden. Which is just really coming into its own. Everything looks so good. And that's only a year old. And I've only bought a handful of things. Everything else I've just divided and put in there. Then we have our island out here that I'm going to completely rework because it looks so good in the spring. And then the rest of the year it's kind of lackluster. So these are all lily of the valley. I'm going to move all those to the back. In the spring, you get beautiful lilies that come on there and they're gorgeous, but then you're left with that. And I don't want to look at that. So have some sedum in here, which I would like to bring the sedum, like and make a little hedge coming right there. This is some more of that beautiful orange daylily, but I'm on a daylily site and they were telling me that this guy will take over the world. So I need to move him to a place where he can just thrive and be on his own. So I'll probably put him in along with the rest of them that are on the side of the deck. But this whole area just needs reworked. I have a beautiful dahlia here, which I'll put on the screen and show you what it looks like when it's in full bloom. Some echinacea. So this is what I want in this bed. I want to put a bunch of echinacea in here. In the center, I need to put maybe one of those white hydrangeas would be beautiful. They're the ones that get super huge. That would be really beautiful because everything in here right now is just green. So those hosta need to either come out that way more or just to be moved, and then put some nice big tall plants in right there. So yeah, like I said, this whole area, I should be embarrassed to even show you, but I mean, it's real life. This is what it is. This is more of those hardy geraniums. I'm telling you, in the spring, this bed is gorgeous with the Siberian iris and the geranium. It just looks beautiful. But right now, I have a lot of new daylilies in there, so that's why it's kind of a little dead looking right now because transplant shock, but next year they'll be glorious. And then we have the hydrangea there that is just beautiful. And then those lilies, I just love them. And that's a view of them from the other side. There's a lot of other just really beautiful plants in here, but like I said, right now it doesn't look like so much, so this whole area is going to get reworked. So I just wanted to put in here real quick some of the lilies that were in this area just a couple weeks ago to show you how beautiful this area can be. It has a lot of potential, has a lot of really beautiful plants in there. Next year I'll show you the transformation, and I'm sure it's just going to be beautiful. And then that takes us over here. We have the baby blue spruce that I put in a couple years ago that is doing really good. And then over there, I have a magnolia that I put in that is very happy and healthy, putting on a lot of growth right now. Happy about that. Over here, and then this is the last bed I have to show you, just the very front. It looks beautiful, it's nice and full, but there's just a lot going on right now with the flowers that come up off the coral bells. It just makes it look like it's a little, I don't know, messier. So I mean, I need to cut all those back. This peony is going to get moved because I want that to be the star of the show. And as you can see, it's starting to form an odd shape, and I want it to be a round globe. So I'm going to take that peony out, put that elsewhere. This Daphne is not looking so good. Blood Good Japanese maple is coming into its own, and yeah, everything else is looking pretty good. So that's our video for today. It was a pretty long one, so if you've made it to this far, thank you so much. Either way, I really appreciate you gardening with me. Thank you for your support. My channel did just reach 1,000 subscribers, so I know that's not a lot for some of those channels out there, but for me, it's a lot of growth, especially through this past year with COVID and the things that we went through with that. So I really appreciate each and every single one of you. And I'll leave you with just some beautiful pictures of the flowers that I have growing in my garden. God bless. Thanks for watching, and have a great week.